Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. I am so excited for this video. So if you don't know, I got married this year and I decided to do a fun reading challenge to celebrate the occasion. So the wedding has already happened, and as I was editing this video I realized I forgot to do an intro. I was just so excited to get to it. So prior to the wedding, I challenged myself to read 5 wedding books before the big day. My rules were: 1, I could not repeat any authors, and 2, they each had to have a different storyline. The only common theme was a wedding had to happen at some point during the book. So the 5 books that I read in this video are The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, Happily Never After by Lynn Painter, The Wedding Season by Katie Mershaw, Do You Take This Man by Denise Williams, and Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This was such a fun challenge to do, and it was a great way to get really in the wedding mindset before the big day. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, I just finished my first book, The Wedding Date. This was a very cute book, and I did like the characters in it, and it had some cute moments. However, I feel like there were some things that happened that I didn't particularly care for. First off, the wedding part of this book takes place in the first like 30 pages. So our main character, Alexa, she is visiting to celebrate her sister, and she gets stuck in an elevator with Drew, and we learn that he is in town for a wedding, and the bride is his ex, and she's marrying one of his friends from medical school, and his +1 backed out on him. So he's just not having a good time, not prepared for the weekend, and they hit it off really well while they were in the elevator. And then after it's fixed, he asks her if she will be his date to the wedding. So she goes with him and pretends to be his girlfriend, basically. So then after the wedding happens, the book kind of focuses on these two. So Alexa, she works for the mayor in San Francisco, and Drew is a pediatric surgeon in Santa Monica. Every weekend, one of them is traveling to one of the places to visit each other, and they kind of have this like situation-ship, because Drew doesn't want anything serious. And the trope in this is miscommunication. And I learned I do not like that trope. It made me so frustrated and irritated that it was just a lack of communication. Every time they argued and like stopped talking to each other, it was just because they didn't talk to each other at all. So I didn't like that. And then there was a very, very sweet moment. I don't want to spoil anything, but a very sweet moment that Drew had with her, and I loved that, and it kind of showed more of who he was as a character. But then a decision that he made at the very end just kind of didn't feel like the same Drew from that moment we had earlier in the book. So I wasn't a fan of it. It was cute. It was a cute quick read, but I do not like the miscommunication trope, and I don't like the decision Drew made at the end. So for me, this was only a 3.5 stars. So the next book we're going to read is Lynn Painter's Happily Never After. This is actually before it came out, so it comes out next week. So we will go to Barnes & Noble the day it is released to pick it up, and that will be our next read. So I will see you then. I am so excited to finally read this. Up to this point, I've only read Lynn Painter's YA books, so I'm really excited to read my first adult romance by Lynn Painter. I really enjoy her writing, so I'm really excited for this. I haven't started any of it yet. I had to wait, but now I can finally start it. It's a pretty short read. It's 291 pages, so not very long at all. I feel like I can finish this pretty quickly. So I'm going to start reading this, and I'll check in with you if there's anything I want to talk about while reading it. If not, then when I finish the book. Alright, so I just finished reading Happily Never After, and it was really cute. So our main character, Sophie, she is about to get married. And she had just found out that her fiance is cheating on her, but her fiance's dad is the boss of her dad, so she didn't want to call off the wedding in fear it would have repercussions on her dad. And so one of her friends objects at weddings, and so she paid someone, this gentleman right here, to object at her wedding, and it basically like saved her life. Then Sophie and Max eventually team up together and object at weddings together, and things just kind of unfold, feelings come up. It was really cute. This was my first adult Lynn Painter book. I've read 2 of her YAs, so it's like a little bit different in the writing, but I was definitely laughing and giggling throughout the whole book. It's just such a cute short little romance, feel good, quick read. I give this a 4-star rating. I liked it, but it just wasn't as like, you know, I can't think of words. Anyways, so the next book I'm going to read is The Wedding Season by Katie Ershaw. One thing that has me curious is that the blurb on the back usually mention the love interest, but this one does not. So I will have no idea who the love interest is, which like leaves a lot of mystery, I feel like, and I'm excited to get into it. So I'm gonna start this book and we'll be checking in. Alright, so I am currently about 120 pages into The Wedding Season, and we haven't met the love interest yet. So I'm a little concerned, because I swear if she gets back together with her fiance who called off the wedding, I'm going to riot. I still got a long ways to go, so you know, we'll see, but I'm hoping we meet the love interest soon because they're really making us wait for it. Anyways, I'll keep reading it and I will check in with you once I finish the book. I finished Wedding Season, and guys, I love this book. It so far one of my favorites of the year. 5-star rating. Mwah! Magnificent. So our main character, Freya, her fiance leaves her the night before the wedding, and her whole world is just like rough, for lack of better words. Her wedding was supposed to be the first of many throughout the year, and so she now has to go through the rest of the year attending all of these weddings, knowing that hers didn't happen and everyone knows what happened and is going to talk about it and bring it up and ask if she's okay. And she's really dreading going to all of these weddings, rightfully so. And so her 2 best friends come up with a list of tasks. She has 1 task to complete at each wedding. So then her brain is focused on completing that task instead of, oh my god, I'm at a wedding, people are gonna bring up my wedding. They come up with crazy things for her to do, and it oh my god, it is such a beautiful book about being a woman and that feeling of like grief and getting over a relationship, especially a long-term relationship, and it was just beautifully written. I can't cry. Oh, I'm gonna see if I can find one of my favorite quotes I had. Oh my god, this one, this got me. This quote: "There's an overwhelming and unique sense of pride when your best friend gets married, because you know that they deserve every bit of the happiness that today brings, every hug and smile and moment of celebration that Ruby gets today. She has earned it by being this wonderful human being that honestly no one quite deserves, but if it has to be someone, it's Leo." I cried reading that because beautiful book about friendship and womanhood and finding yourself after a breakup. And what was really cool too with this book is that it wasn't like, it felt like a story about Freya with romance and not necessarily a romance book, because you didn't meet the love interest until like probably halfway through the book, and then like they didn't get together until like, the end. And so it was more about Freya and her relationship with herself and dealing with all of these things and figuring out who she is and becoming the woman she is. And there just happened to be romance in it, which was like a nice take on the story. So I absolutely love this. 10 out of 10. One of my faves of the year so far. And I am so excited to start the next book. Zeus! Ah! Hey! Come on. My dog just popped a squat and pooped in front of me. Sorry about that. Hanging out outside. Hi. Alright, so I've started the next book for this video. I am reading Do You Take This Man by Denise Williams. I am about halfway through right now and I'm not sure how to feel about it yet. I didn't love the characters in the beginning, and slowly like things are kind of like unfolding and their like hard exterior shell that they show in life is kind of like cracking, and so I'm enjoying that and kind of getting to see them a little bit better for getting to see the real them, which is making it more interesting now. So our main female character, RJ, she's a divorce lawyer, somehow ended up officiating a like power couple's wedding, and it went viral, so now she's officiating a bunch of weddings. And then our main male character, Lear, he is a former pro football event planner, and things just kind of go wrong in his life, and he goes back to the town he grew up in, and he's helping his cousin who's a wedding planner and is helping her out. She has to go out of town for a little bit, so he is kind of taking over her business, and him and RJ really butt heads because Lear is a good guy who's always been a good guy, and he's just kind of tired of being the good guy, and so he puts on this like exterior of like not being a good guy because being a good guy has got him nowhere. And then RJ, she's also very defensive and she is right, and her opinions are right all the time even when they're not, and so they really just like didn't get along great, butted heads, like not a great first interaction, but they have to work together. And so we're just kind of seeing them through this. They end up becoming enemies with benefit, but obviously like you can tell both of them are falling for each other but don't really want to admit it yet, but are just like too afraid to admit it. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So I'm gonna keep reading and I will check back in once I finish the book. Shh, if you want to be out here you have to be nice. Okay, so I just got to this part in the book. So obviously you learned like something happened with Lear back in California, and something happened with this girlfriend. You know that his heart was broken, him being a good guy never worked out well. He's been deleting all of her messages and everything, but you don't really know what happens. And I just found out what happens, and that is not what I expected at all. Not what I expected at all. But like, my heart breaks for him because Jesus Christ. I might finish this today. Alright, so a few days ago I finished Do You Take This Man? I forgot how it ends. So one thing that I did like about the ending was that, you know, they both recognize that they have a lot of things that they need to work on within themselves. All of the recent trauma that Lear has been through, and then all of the childhood trauma that RJ has been through, how both of those have affected the decisions they've made as adults and how they are and act as adults. And they come together and realize that like, hey, I want to work on this. I want to work on communicating. I want to talk things through with you to make this work. And I thought that was a really nice nice way for them to come together as a couple. I haven't seen that too much in romance books. I did give this one a 4-star rating, I believe. I did enjoy it and I enjoyed the ending, but it did take me a while to get into because I just didn't like the characters a whole lot in the beginning, and it took me a while to actually care about them. Alright, the next book I'm going to be reading just came in the mail from Book Outlet and I'm so excited. I'm going to be reading Tessa Bailey's Unfortunately Yours. So I'm really excited for this. I actually have not read a Tessa Bailey book yet. So I'm going to get started on this one and I will keep you updated as I'm reading it. So I'm about 45 pages into the book and these two hate each other, like absolutely hate each other. Also, one thing I didn't know is that August, the guy, he is an ex-Navy SEAL, and so I'm very curious to know why he left the Navy, because that hasn't been said, and I'm wondering if the need to fulfill his friend's dream has to do with him leaving the Navy. One thing I do like and appreciate about this book so far, though, that I feel like you don't see in other romance books too much, it is dual point of view, which I think helps, but it shows from the very beginning, even though they hate each other and they're always making snarky remarks in their interactions, that like you get their inner dialogue of like, oh, they're the one that got away, like I can't stop thinking about them, like from the beginning. It's like it makes more sense, or it'll make more sense throughout the rest of their journey, you know, because we knew from the beginning, even though they hate each other, that they always secretly actually like each other. So I am enjoying it so far. I'm excited to keep reading it to see what happens. I think I'm almost to the point where they team up together, so I'm excited to see how that conversation goes. So I finally finished Unfortunately Yours a few days ago. I enjoyed this one. It did take me a little bit longer to read than the rest of the books in this video, but I think I was just starting to feel worn out reading wedding theme books. So I know next time not to do this many books for a challenge of one theme book. But anyways, this book follows our main character, Natalie. Her life totally upside down. She worked a big corporate job in New York and she made a bad decision that affected really badly on the company. So she lost her job. Her fiance left her for it because he also worked for that company. So she moved back in with her parents at their vineyard. And August, he is a Navy SEAL. He's trying to run a vineyard, but is really, really, really bad at making wine. And these two, they hate each other. They hate each other. But you see that they like each other, but they on the outside hate each other. And they both get in a predicament where Natalie, she needs money from her trust fund to be able to get back up on her feet. But her father, when he set up her trust fund years ago, he had it to where she had to have a stable job and she had to be married, which she neither has anymore. And then August, he couldn't get a loan from the bank because he's not very good and his business hasn't been successful, so they didn't want to give him the loan. And so they decided to do a marriage for convenience so that Natalie can get her trust fund and go live her life in New York. And then August can have Natalie be an employee and someone who's grew up on a vineyard her whole life and her family is very well known for their wine and their vineyard as an employee can help him get a loan. So it was very cute. There are certain moments in the book where the characters, even though they tried so hard to dislike each other and hate each other, there were just moments of sweetness and realness and those were the moments that brought them closer together. So that was really cool to read about and explore throughout the book. Also, this book has my favorite epilogue probably ever. It was so cute. Ooh, obviously with most like romance books, if they have an epilogue, it's them taking another step in their relationship. They're getting engaged, or they're getting married, or maybe, you know, something else, especially for like more YA romance books. But this book, because they already got married in it, Marriage of Convenience, it was like 5-7 years into their future, and it was just so cute and just showed who they were as people in a different aspect of their life and how they've grown as a couple and individually, and it was just my favorite. Mwah! 10 out of 10 for the epilogue. So overall, I did give this a 4 out of 5 star rating. I did really enjoy it, but like I said, it took me a little bit longer to read. All right, so that is all of the wedding books that I read before my wedding. It was really cool reading different books. I found a lot of new authors I haven't read before, and some of them I've already bought other books from those authors because I enjoyed their reading, so that's exciting. And it was just such a fun way to get really into the wedding mindset before the big day, and I feel like they're pretty successful books. I only gave one a 3-star rating, I had one 5-star, and then the rest were just 4 stars, so I would call that a success. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. I have another book wedding themed video coming out soon. I read my bridesmaids recommendations. So if you want to be notified when that book goes live, go ahead and hit that bell button so then you can be notified. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah!